Hello and welcome to Urban Longings. This is a series we've been trying to address a very important issue that's been facing as a nation. It's about urbanization and rapid migration of population from our rural villages into our towns and cities, and how we in urban India are going to face this entire influx. Today we bring you this show all the way from the technology capital of the country. We're right here in Bangalore, and we have a very, very special panel for you. And we'll try and address the issues of really how technology can make our city governance more efficient. We have with us on the panel today Mrs. Swati Ramanathan, who's the co-founder of Janagraha Center for Citizenship and Democracy. We have Mr. A. Ravindra, who's advisor to the Honorable Chief Minister for Urban Affairs. And of course, we have a man here who needs no introduction at all. We have Mr. Narayana Murthy, who's Chief Mentor at Infosys Technologies. And finally, we have Mr. Anil Menon, who's the President for Globalization and Smart Plus Connected Communities at Cisco Systems. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Mr. Menon, you moved from New York to Bangalore, and you've seen, this whole show is about technology, what it can do for our cities. How easy do you think it is for Indian cities to just imbibe technology and start using it just in the day-to-day running of things? It's easier said than done?
The reason why we got engaged with this is we said, just like water, power, telecom, network is the fourth utility. It is not the answer. It's not the complete answer, it's partial answer. So why is urbanization such a big issue? If you take India, you're going from 310 million to 590 million. But 70% of them is not coming from rural areas. This is the poor multiplying inside cities. And the urban poor, that too. And then you have people leaving rural areas. They don't come to cities to live in poverty. They come to cities because of lack of urban services, healthcare, education, jobs, and culture. And our thinking is, if you can use technology to take some of those services from the city into the rural areas, take some good jobs, some good health care, some education, then there would not be a reason for them to destroy the social fabric. It's about sustainability. It's not sustainability of just environment. It's economic sustainability and social sustainability. It's no use having a green city if you don't have jobs. It's no use having, I was just reading about in Maine where they put these wind turbines and they cut back on their energy consumption, but people were upset about the noise of the wind turbine. So your social life just destroyed itself. So you have to balance all three. And that is where I think it is a public-private partnership where you come in. When you're building a city like Labasa, which is brand new, you can do things. But you can only build about 200 cities to 400 cities. What about all the other cities where the majority of the people live? So there's revitalization needed. And I think you have to have two different sets of answers. And we believe technology has a role to play in it, because it's no different than saying today that electricity has no role to play in a city or rural. But 3 billion people are going to get on the net in the next 10 years. And most of those people are in rural areas. And in India, people in rural areas will have access to the internet before they have access to clean water.
The connectivity will go down into the villages.
It is already going there.
But Mr. Murthy, if you had to solve this problem, and if you had, there is no quick fix, we all know that. Right. If you had to look at top 3 things that need to be done, would technology feature in there? That's part 1. And part 2 is this whole thing about let's just start afresh, let's just start anew, and start with new cities where it's easy to do everything right the first time around. Is that really a feasible solution?
It is a feasible solution, given that 300 million people are going to be living in the cities that will either be expanded or that will be new cities. It is possible, as long as we create a regulatory framework for creating a better lifestyle, better mobility, and better environment for citizens. By that, what I mean is make sure that every new house that is built has to have the solar power in that, facility in that. Make sure that every community has microgrids so that you can better regulate the power. Make sure that every new house that is built has connectivity to broadband, so that a lot of the interface with public services could be done from home. Make sure that you have an online ambulance service. Make sure, this is my favorite thing, that every community has a part wherein there is a community hall where on, let's say, a Sunday, the Christians will use it as a church. On Friday, the Muslims will use it as a mosque, and maybe on another day, Hindus would use it. And in all these, using technology, holography, you can create images. I mean, at least Hindus use idols and images, so that they can go and pray there. And it can be a clean place. It is owned by the community. All the communities have equal access, so there are no issues. We don't just build more and more temples and mosques and churches and others. And then, of course, there's the issue of making better transportation. There are lots of technologies for smart transportation. Metro is one which even Bangalore is doing, and connectivity, better connectivity with between bus stations, railway stations, and airport, and better databases and access to databases for public governance systems, and then simulation models for public governance systems, so that sitting here we can know what that new city will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, in terms of population, in terms of congestion, in terms of air quality, in terms of power availability, in terms of water availability, water quality, etc. So all of that can be done. And I think we should do that. Lavasa is a wonderful example. I hope Lavasa becomes a model city. Nehru built Chandigarh as a model city. Unfortunately, we did not continue that wonderful experiment in keeping with advances in technology. I hope at least in the new cities we would do that.
Right, so Mr. Murthy, I want to just stay with you on this one, because you've outlined something that really looks almost like the next episode of Star Wars, where you see the cyber city that's just perfect in every which way. How realistic is it? We've had last 30 years, we've all known that this is what you want. You want parks, you want clean air, you want good water supply, you want hygiene, you want housing for the poor. We've known it all along, but you've seen India at the micro level, at the grassroots level. What's keeping us behind? Why isn't it happening then?
Well, I think it is our willpower. Second, our discipline. Third, our pride in ourselves, pride in our nation. Fourth, I think economic incentives for people to adapt these technologies. I think once we create some role models for all these good values that I talked about, I have no doubt at all that the other new cities that we will build, as well as the retrofitting of the existing cities, will happen. I forgot to say one more thing that every community must have. That is the Aadhaar center. What Nandan is doing, where citizens can go and register themselves. What people like Janagraha are doing in terms of improving the awareness of the power of voting, improving the awareness of the various candidates in election, etc. All of that can be part of that community hall. The local MLA can sit there, the local councillor can sit there, and there should be a mechanism for people to voice their grievances that should all be stored electronically, and then there should be mechanisms to discuss and resolve those disputes. We should enhance the transparency to the actions taken, etc. I think all of this can be done.